Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, in this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the Cat. Cat, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. I guess I could complain, but I won't.
Well, I mean, based on what you've told me about your day, it sounds like that your complaints would be rather minor compared to what you've seen happen to other people today.
Yeah, I was 30 minutes late for this recording because there was a really, really bad, possibly fatal accident. Like a couple of blocks away from the exit to my apartment. So I'm like, oh, shit.
And Brian, how are you doing this week?
Well, I'm here. That's something going for myself.
You know, I think that's pretty much the boat that we're all in. I spent all of our break week trying not to die. I came down with a really nasty cold. Yeah. I don't know if Shub Nagurath could reside inside of a human sinus cavity for a week, but if he could, that would certainly explain a few things that have come out of my head in the last few days. So, probably a little TMI. But we got a fun show for you guys this week. This week we are discussing Season 3 of Voltron Legendary Defender, which premiered on Netflix this weekend, and we've really been looking forward to it. And so, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. But before we begin, we are going to premiere a brand new semi-recurring segment that I'm just making up right now called News of the World, which is basically me showing Brian a Queen cover and him having an existential crisis. Before anybody says anything, that joke predates Family Guy. Seth MacFarlane isn't clever. He just likes to steal from shows that people don't remember. I'm just kidding. No, every now and then some story occurs that we feel like has to be commented upon, that we can't let pass without marking. And one of those stories occurred over the course of our break, and that was the passing of the inimitable and irreplaceable June Foray, a true titan of the voice acting scene. She passed away at the age of 99 on July 26th. And we're very saddened by her passing, so I thought that we'd kind of take some time to talk about Miss Foray's career and the impact that she's had, not just on animation, but just in pop culture in general. So, Brian, as our resident, as was one of our bigger animation fans among the show, how did Miss Foray's career in voice acting affect you and impact you growing up? Any particular roles of hers that were your favorites?
Well, she was and will always be Rocky the Flying Squirrel. She has always voiced Rocky. And I used to watch Rocky on reruns, on whatever channel they just happened to be on. And you at the time when I was super young, you don't get the sense of the actor behind the voices of a cartoon character. You start to appreciate them more as you grow up. And to her absolute credit, she worked pretty much her entire life in the industry and was loved by everyone. Her last credit for Rocky the Flying Squirrel was in 2014. Just that to me just amazes me that she had such range to work with, and just any time probably could have retired, but she just said, no, I'm gonna keep doing this. I was like, you gotta love that, right?
Yeah, June Foray is one of those people who, if I'd ever started a talk show, she'd have been right at the top of the list of people I'd want to talk to, because, we're talking about someone who has worked with not only been one of the all-time greats, but has worked with all of the all-time greats. She's worked beside Mel Blanc, Bob Clampett. I mean, she has basically lived through for all the way from the golden age of animation to today, and she's seen how the industry has changed. And I always imagined, and it was confirmed to me when we did our show on the documentary I Know That Voice, how fascinating a person she would be to talk to, and just to hear some of the stories that she could tell about working in animation when the American animation industry was getting started and was in its golden years. So I would have loved to have a chance to speak with her.
And I think it was also, she's one of she was, I don't want to say, the last living legend of that era. Everyone else had already passed, but she was still around and still working. So it is like an official end of the era with her passing. And like we're all very sad about hearing that.
So what about you, Kat? Any words to say for Miss Foray?
I just remember watching that documentary that you mentioned earlier, the I Know That Voice, and any documentary that you watched about American voice acting was always going to include her because, like you said, she's like the last of that generation. She's been in the business for so long, that any documentary or talk about cartoons in America would be incomplete without her input and talking about her. And it's like, man, it's kind of like the last of the Titans is gone. Because she was working even up until, a couple of years ago at that age and playing such memorable characters, characters that we all grew up watching for certain.
And the thing is, like, you get voice actors and voice actors as they get older, they kind of lose their skill a bit. But June Foray was, always at the top of her game. I remember playing the DuckTales remaster that came out a couple of years ago, and they brought back all the cast members from the TV show to voice the characters. So of course she came back as Magica De Spell, and she sounded exactly as she did when she voiced Magica on the television show, and by extension, because of the same basic voice, she sounded exactly the same as she did when she voiced Natasha Fatale on Rocky and Bullwinkle. She always had her A game, and whether that was just through constant practice or just natural talent, she was truly an amazing talent in the voice acting world, and we very likely will never see her like again.
It was just a real sad day for that, and I was actually kind of glad that when she did pass, like a lot of news sites picked up on her passing as well. Like voice actors are those like unsung heroes. They're still actors, but they just don't get the credit they deserve. So to see like her name up, talking like wonderful about her actually made me feel really good.
So.
She was also one of the people who was behind creating the Annie Awards, which are animation awards, which when you watch a lot of cartoons and stuff, it's actually, nice to see cartoons getting recognized. So that's kind of like a legacy that she leaves behind, other than, like her bucket load, like buckets and buckets of work is, she had her own award in the Annie Awards. There was the June Foray Award. So, I mean, she's got quite a legacy that I'm not sure that there's anybody who can quite live up to that. No other women, I think, will be able to really live up to that.
Like, I think the closest that we have now would be, I think, maybe Tara Strong, and even she admits that her accomplishments pale in comparison to what June Foray has accomplished in her life. And a lot of times when a celebrity passes, we get really upset and we get really kind of angry. It's like, oh, this is someone who was taken down in their prime. But you know what? 99 years old, one of the greatest careers that any not just any voice actors, but just any person on this earth could ask for, and a huge legacy like that. I would put money down on saying that Miss Foray passed with absolutely no regrets.
Yeah,
in her life.
I certainly hope not.
She's certainly accomplished more in her time than any of us could even reasonably ask for. So rest in peace, Miss June Foray, and say hi to Bill Scott for us while you're up there. So so that was on to somewhat more lighthearted topics. We're going to now segue into Ask a Geek, and we've got some questions here. First question here comes from Paul, and it is for Brian, and he asks you if you have seen the Legends of the Hidden Temple movie, and if so, what were your thoughts on it?
I have not seen the Legends of. I know we talked about it. I know we like shared links to the trailer, Gonzo and I, and then I forgot to watch it. I didn't even realize it had come out. Give me a couple weeks, guys. Maybe if it's on demand or something, I might be able to check it out. But yeah, for right now, I haven't streamed it.
Okay.
Should I be embarrassed by that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you were the one who was pimping it for the longest time. Like, for the longest time of the show, it was like every week it was Legends of the Hidden Temple movie, Legends of the Hidden Temple movie. Kid.
Because
and now here it comes out, and you totally missed it.
That's also because I'm getting old. But I lived in the state when it was.
Let the record show you said it this time and not me.
I actually tried to get on the show when I used to live in Florida for that short period of time. And I felt like, looking back on it now, the reason I didn't get on the show is because I was too smart, because I'm the one who knows how to put together a 3-piece puzzle of a silver monkey.
Nobody could get that.
Oh, it drove me absolutely insane. Why are you putting the head on first? There's a base!
And the base has a fucking pole on it. I think if anything says I go on the bottom, that's it.
Anyway, give me a few weeks, guys, and I'll see if I'll catch up with you.
Okay. All right. So, Paul, we're going to put your question back in rotation, and we'll come back to it in a couple weeks. All right. Next question here comes from Shelley, and she asks all of us if we have been following the recent advanced reviews of the Inhumans series, and if so, have they colored our opinion of the upcoming show? Okay, so Brian, we were actually discussing this before the show started. So, what are your thoughts on these advanced reviews of the Inhumans?
I like how you just threw the grenade and like, hey, Brian, jump on it. All right. So I actually haven't read the advanced reviews of the pilot or anything like that. I'm trying to kind of go in it with a fresh mind. Unfortunately, but I have been keeping track of like the trailers and like the press releases and all that kind of stuff like that. And I'm trying really hard, again, not to be like, it's okay. Early stuff sometimes is a little bit off. You never know. But I'm super skeptical. The first trailer did not blow me away. The second trailer did not blow me away. Medusa's hair looks absolutely ridiculous CGI'd. The costumes are very bland. A lot of them are not gonna have their Inhuman costumes from the comic books.
What's really kind of concerning me about this show is the Friday night death slot. I can't think of any show that's premiered on Friday nights that has ever done well, which leads me to believe that there's not a whole lot of faith behind this series. And the early reviews I'm reading, which, spoiler alert, they're awful, aren't really doing much to alleviate it. And from what I've seen of what the costumes are going to be in this series, I mentioned to Brian before the start of the show, there was a show back in the 90s that was based on one of the X books. I think it was X Factor, X Force. Oh, no, yeah, it was Generation X. And I'm looking at these costumes, and they look like costumes from the 90s show. And I'm just like, okay, this doesn't look all that great. So, yeah, I'm honestly not that hopeful on how the Inhumans is going to turn out. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll be surprised. Kat, what about you? Have you been following the Inhumans reviews at all?
Paid any attention to Inhumans, and I think it's because I just felt so burned by Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I was like, this just looks. I don't know, something about it just makes me think it's just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all over again. And I just haven't given any thought to it at all. Probably, like I should actually pay attention to it. I know I should, and I should give it a shot and watch the trailer and look at some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but I haven't.
So what was it about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that burned you?
I'm sorry, but Fitzsimmons, together, we're not together, we're going to get together, we're not going to get together. If I wanted that shit, I'd watch anime. Or a soap opera or something. But there's only so much of that I can take. And that was...
Okay, so I'm guessing you didn't watch season 3 then?
You know what? I saw part of it, and
okay, because that was the season where they finally got over it.
Well, but like, they were starting to get over it, and then it would just flip flop back and forth, and all the things that I used to like about the characters, like those things, like Coulson used to be the best character. it's just getting to the point where Coulson was unwatchable. May, like, I just didn't enjoy any of the characters anymore. And the story was so complex, and they were introducing a bunch of new characters. I'm like, I don't give a crap about any of these people anymore. And it kills me because it was a show with such potential. And so I just feel so burned by that. And I don't know why. I feel like I'm projecting this burnout on Inhumans and not anything else. There's no reason for it. It's just what it feels like because it involves Inhumans.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you about S.H.I.E.L.D. I thoroughly enjoyed it up until the end of season 3. And I only say that because I haven't had a chance to watch season 4 yet, but it is on Netflix now, so check back later. Maybe my opinion will have changed, and I will be with you throwing Coulson under the bus, which would be a shame because I've always thought he was a really great character, but, whatever. All right. And let's see here now. We have a question here for you, Kat, actually, and it looks like you stepped in it by mentioning that you play Skyrim on the show. Because we have a question here from Sarah, and she asks 3 questions. The first of which is, what is your favorite Daedric quest?
Oh, it's hard to pick because I generally, I play kind of a good character, and so every time I get a Daedric quest, I'm like, God damn it, I'm trying to be a good person. And you always end up killing somebody at the end of them. So it's always like, damn it, I don't want one of these. I should say that my favorite Daedra is Molag Bal, but it's only because I'm buddies with the voice actor.
Really?
Well, I say I'm buddies, but really it's like I worked 2 conventions with him.
Not the pick that I would have seen you going with. I
should say that because that's the VA I know. But I think of the quests themselves, her sign is I think the one that I enjoyed the most.
I'm trying to recall. That was the one with the werewolf in Falkreath, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit tragic, and the Glenmoral witches were like a pain when I was fighting them. Bearing in mind that Skyrim is like the only game that I play, so I'm not very good at games generally. So I found that the witches kind of hard to beat the first time. Okay. But I just enjoyed that quest. I like stuff with werewolves. Okay.
I'd have to say Sheogoraths is my favorite, but that's just because I'm a Sheogorath fanboy. I have this image in my head of Sheogorath, Discord, and Q just gathering for tea every week.
Yeah, that was a weird one. And I had to do with a guide to help me figure out what I was supposed to do because I was just so confused the whole time. And I'm like, this episode of Alice in Wonderland is real weird.
Okay. And her second question is, who is your favorite or least favorite companion?
Fuck, Lydia. Oh, my God. My favorite is Yordis. She was, because of just how politely she speaks to you. And she was always, for me, kind of a tank. And she didn't always, rush stupidly into stuff. Whereas Lydia literally she'll just rush into everything, and I've had to redo fights so many times because I didn't want to lose her. And it'll be like, okay, I need you to stay way over there so I can use the storm call technique, and please don't come over here. Please don't. Why are you walking over here? You dumb bitch, get away. And then I lightning her to death. And so Lydia just drives me crazy, but I actually I don't know if Yordis died on me because one day I sent her home and she never made it home. And I don't know if something happened and I accidentally killed her and not remembering it, or she glitched out somehow, but she's never returned. And I'm super sad because I've just been sticking with Lydia for a while now.
Now
and I know I have other options, but the devil,
Which leads me to my next question. Have you met Serana yet?
It doesn't sound familiar.
Okay. Have you started the Dawn Guard quest?
No, because actually I'm playing it on the PS3.
You can get it on PS3.
Yes, but I don't have it on the PS3. I actually did just buy Skyrim for the PS4 because I'm going to get a PS4 pretty soon.
So
and I picked it up while it was on sale, and it has the Dawn Guard and Hearthfire.
Hearthfire, yeah. It's the PS4 edition is a special edition that has all the DLC. Well, when you play that and you start the Dawn Guard quest line, as you play through that, you'll be introduced to Serana, who is just an absolute joy. You will love her. I'm calling that now.
I would really like a manservant to order around, and instead of always having, you know, all of my house carls are all chicks, and I'm just like, when do I get a manservant?
There's a few you can get. I believe it's if you become a Thane. Well, you need Hearthfire in order to get him. I think
Exactly.
Valdemar. You get him as a house carl if you become a Thane of, I want to say, Morthal.
Cool.
I believe I'd have to go back and look. I'm finally building up a Skyrim special edition playthrough with all my favorite mods, so I'll have to get back on that. Which leads to Sarah's question number 3: do you plan on getting into modding at all? As I now steeple my fingers like Mr. Burns, and
as I can't because I'm playing it on the PS3. When I get a better running computer, because my laptop is I only have a laptop, and it's like 4 or 5 years old now, so it's kind of on its way out. So I'm picky and choosy about what my next computer is going to be, but I'd like to be able to actually play Skyrim and mod the hell out of it when I get a device I can actually do that on.
When the student is ready, the master will. Well, I'm already here, but you know what I'm getting at. But
I have a whole IT department at work who can do all of that shit for me, and they're just gonna be like, here you go. Now play Elder Scrolls Online with us.
Well,
never.
Well, you can actually.
I don't have free time.
Well, you can actually do. I believe you can actually get console mods for the special edition on the PS4. I believe. Someone will have to let me know on that. I know you can do it at least on the Xbox One. I remember reading that it was going to be available on the PS4. Not sure if that ever happened. So if someone could sound off in the comments and let me know, that'd be great. And we're running a bit long with these Ask Geek questions, so this next one will be really quick. And this one is from of all the people this could come from. This comes from a Rick, and he asked whether or not any of us have been following Rick and Morty season 3. To which I say yes, I have, because I think I'm the only Rick and Morty fan among us. And I am absolutely loving it. Every episode has been an absolute joy so far. My favorite so far has been episode 2, Rick Dancing the Stone, which was the Mad Max parody, which leads to my big comment, which is I'm really liking what they're doing with Summer in this season. As I try not to die. Whew. Speaking of Daedric princes, I've apparently been spending some time with Perryite. But only 3 people will get that joke, and 2 of them are in this, and 2 of them are here. But I really like what they've been doing with Summer's character, and because she's really been kind of taking the initiative so far in a lot of these stories. She was the one who convinced Morty to go looking to break Rick out of space jail, and then she had a great character arc in episode 2 where she became the queen of a tribe of Mad Max style scavenger barbarians, which was hysterical. So I'm really interested to see what they do with her in this season. I really think they've got a lot planned for Summer, and I can't wait to see what they do with her. And that's all the Ask a Geek questions that we have for this week. Thank you as always for sending them in. As always, you can send them to us through the email at drgonzo@nerdtothethirdpower.com. Or you can drop them in the comments beneath our YouTube feed. We do occasionally go trawling through the YouTube feed looking for some awesome questions in there. So, get your questions in. You might get it read on the air. And so now that we finish eating our vegetables comes the meat. And this week we are discussing Voltron Legendary Defenders Season 3, which was kind of a shorter season compared to the first 2, only 7 episodes long, which Brian has some words to say on that, but we'll get to that in a moment. But let's just start with our general thoughts on this season. So what did you guys think of this season?
I thought it was another really good season. I know it was short, and that was extremely disappointing that it was so short. But I'm so happy I watched it. It was, like the shortness of it didn't disappoint me because I was so pleased with the rest of the season. Yeah, it left so many questions and so few answers, and I'm just going to spend the next couple of months racking my brain in wonder. Also, Lotor.
Yes. Brian, what about you? Your general thoughts on this season?
No, I enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. Like I've enjoyed the previous seasons before. The shortness actually got to me because I remember after watching the 7th episode, which was like an origin of Voltron and that universe about with the Galra and how the Empire became and how like the fighting really started, and you got to get some more kind of character reveals. I was going, all right, this is cool. What's the next episode? And you're done for a while. I was like, I just had this happen to Castlevania. Is this a trend? Is this? I was like, again, damn it.
All right. Yeah. This season. Wow. You want to talk a season that's been packed to the gills. This one was it. We didn't really see a whole lot of plot advancement, but what we did see was a whole lot of world building, particularly surrounding the character of Prince Lotor. I suppose we should preface by saying that there's going to be spoilers in this discussion. And lots and lots of coughing. Edit! I suppose I should preface this by saying that there are going to be spoilers in this discussion, so if you want to go into Voltron Season 3, with virgin ears and not knowing what's going on, then go pause this episode and go watch this season. Don't worry, it's short, we can wait, and then come back. But for those of you who want to hear what we think now, like I said, be warned, there be spoilers. But Prince Lotor, Season 3 was pretty much, this is why Prince Lotor is a badass. I especially love how they went to pains to differentiate him from Zarkon. Zarkon was always very much relied on brute force, sending row beasts or lots and lots of troops, whereas Lotor, you want to talk about military tacticians, this guy gives Grand Admiral Thrawn a run for his money. I mean, the way that he was pretty much able to make the Voltron force just dance like puppets on a string was, I thought, just great and really added a new dimension to the greater antagonist that is the Galra Empire. He was definitely the standout of this season.
With his own Voltron force.
Yes.
I think that's where they're going for that, because the arcs of this season was the comet that the material of which was used to create Voltron, and now another similar comet has been located, and Lotor's gotten his hands on it, and it's really looking like he's getting ready to build his own antithesis to Voltron. And I think we actually started, because remember there's that weird-ass fighter-looking thing that they were chasing after in the second to last episode there.
Well, the season introduced a lot of different aspects, because that wasn't just a similar comet. By all accounts, the way they explain it, it was the exact same comet, except the comet somehow exists in alternate realities, where they dropped an in-joke that I never expected to be dropped. Because when the episode happens and they have one of the characters show up and they're like, "Oh, it's alternate universe Shiro." I was like, he kind of looks like another character. Like, "Hello, Sven." I was like, "Fucking Sven." It's okay.
Okay, now someone's gonna
take me to a space hospital. You sons of bitches.
Okay, someone's gonna have to explain this one to me, because I don't see what that's a reference to.
That's a reference to the original dub of Voltron. One of the characters was named Sven, and
Shiro. Shiro, the character that Shiro was Sven in the dub.
Was Sven in the dub, and they gave him like an accent, a very like kind of Swedish accent for some unknown reason. Someone thought that was a good idea. And spoiler for the old series and the original series is that Sven dies, and that's why there was a change in lineup for the Lions. Like, he gets shot and killed, but in the dub you can't have that. So he gets shot, and he goes, "It's okay, take me to a space hospital." It's like, Sven was taken to a space hospital and worked on, and it'll be fine. I was like, And you go, oh, that's good for Sven. Later on, he died.
He definitely died. It's the whole I'm going to blast you into another world, idea that you can never talk about a character dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when that in the episode, when I was like, there was one fan on that show, one like old school Voltron fan who must have fought tooth and nails. Like, this is happening. I am doing this. You cannot stop me. It's okay. It's an alternate universe. Oh, okay. It's fine.
So while half the series was Lotor being awesome, the other half was character development. The series, because we saw a lot of character arc advancement, especially with and this is the big one. At least for me, Princess Allura actually stepping up and becoming one of the paladins of Voltron.
Which in the original cartoon.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it was. I was expecting it to happen in this cartoon a lot sooner than this.
Well,
so,
yeah. So a lot of the season is broken up between with the big mystery what happened to Shiro, which we still really don't know what happened to him or why he came back so suddenly. So you have Keith taking over as leader, being absolutely terrible.
The worst.
And the thing is, and knowing it. That's one of the things that I really liked about Keith's arc, was that he knew that he wasn't ready. And he, you remember when he stepped into the Black Line and actually responded, and he was like, no, please, no, I don't want this. Like, I fully expected Keith to take up the reins and be like, the arrogant, cocky, oh, well, I was bred for this. But, it was clear from word jump that he did not want this, and he did not feel like he was ready for it. And I feel like that kind of gave him the opposite problem, was he had so little confidence in himself, and that's what caused so much of his issues, was he just didn't know what he was capable of.
Not even that, it's he's the bad, like they mentioned in the show, he's the badass lone over the heart of gold kind of thing. So his leadership style was, there's a problem, I shall go solve it. If you want to come along, that's fine, but I'm going to do this. Not realizing, again, Voltron's a team. So you get this. So for Keith, it's him not only learning to be a leader, but also learning that he has to be a part of the team itself. He can't, lean on Shiro telling everyone what to do now, even though Shiro's kind of back. But then you have to and everyone kind of had to shift positions except for Pidge and Hunk. So you also had Lance, who, got really comfortable with the Blue Lion. Like, he was fantastic as the pilot, and now he's a part of the Red Lion, and he can't, the Red Lion's a different. I like how there's a differentiation of the lions. The Red Lion's a little bit faster. He has to sort of change his attitude a little bit. He sort of had to realize, yeah, I'm kind of being a goofball. Maybe my spot is maybe in the back shooting people. Maybe I shouldn't be on the front line. So everyone's kind of getting into their little areas again.
I really loved the switch arounds. Without having to kill a character, first of all. I'd like to add on to the part about Keith, where if you think about it, with Shiro gone, Keith kind of went through all the phases of grief in about 3 episodes. The anger, the denial, the bargaining. He went through everything. So as much as I went, God damn it, Keith, for 3 whole episodes, because he kept making stupid decisions, it really makes sense that it just wouldn't be that easy for him to shift to a position of leadership. But it's been hinted at so much that, Shiro flat out said in season 2, I believe, if anything ever happens to me, you need to be the leader. And it was the right call. And I'm glad they shifted it that way. I really, really liked when, Lance went to go get in the Blue Lion and it refused. And then he went over to the Red Lion and was like, what? And they said, you need to be Keith's right-hand man. Like, you need to be the right hand. And it's like, oh, that's so great. And then Allura gets the blue one. And I mean, I really wanted to see Allura in the red so that she could pilot the same lion as her father, which would have been really, really nice. But I get it. But the only thing that kind of bummed me out a little bit is that they actually didn't switch their suits to be the colors of the lions that they've now switched around to.
Well, I mean, the Altean tailor is long since dead, so unless
Corin
wants to step up.
Allura to wear.
I'm pretty sure Corin would do it.
He would. He'd be like, oh, yes, I have a specialty in making paladin suits. There's actually a paladin suit generator right over here. Like, seriously, he probably invented one.
That would actually answer a question: is how they do their laundry, considering they all have like one fucking outfit.
In space, no one can hear you wash.
But yeah, I agree with Gonzo. It was really great to see Alora finally like step in and get to progress her character and like get to see her fighting like a badass, because we don't get to see her fight very much outside of the castle. And the one time we did, she was like shapeshifted as a Galra. And so it was like a totally different scenario. And to watch her, once she starts to get a feel for it, to actually fight and stuff, you're just like, holy crap, she's awesome.
Well, it's also an extension of what we saw in the first two seasons. She was always very uncomfortable with the idea of her having to ask other people to fight her battles. To give the orders to, it's what I call the burden of command, where she has to order people to what could be their deaths, while she stays behind and takes none of the risk. And it's been clear for the first two episodes that she doesn't want to do that, that she doesn't want to have to send anybody into a situation that she herself would not be willing or able to go into. And so to see her to finally be able to get her wish, to finally be able to roll up her sleeves and get her hands dirty like she's wanted, it's a culmination of that she's finally getting what she wants. She wants to contribute in not just in a theoretical way, but in a practical way to the fight against the Galra Empire.
So what do you think this leaves left for Shiro? Because it really, the way they've built it over the last couple of seasons, that an Altean has to be the one to kind of pilot the castle. Pidge and everybody can use functions of it, but it kind of seemed like that was her shtick. And I don't know if a non-Altean could actually pilot the castle and use all of its, I don't think anybody other than her can use the not the teleportation, but opening the wormholes and stuff like that.
Well, remember, we still got Corrin.
Yes.
So
but, there was a very big deal that they made about her being the one. She has enough. She's like special. And she has enough power to do it.
There's a lot of like different threads about the alien races that haven't been touched on again. Like, remember, Keith's half Golra,
right?
And we don't know how that happened or when that happened, but it happened.
Well, we know when it happened, about 20 years ago.
All right.
When a mommy Galra and a daddy human really love each other.
But the time frame has kind of been already established by the nature of the setting here.
It's really the physics of it that I'm curious about, because Galra are hella tall. But anyway, we could get back to that later. Please continue, Ryan.
Whoa, there.
So we have that. So we don't know if they're we know the planets were destroyed. Survivors might still be out there. We don't know. There's a lot of little details, and this is why it's such a short season. I'm disappointed about, because a lot of the questions we still have, like you bring it up, we don't have an answer to, and we're not going to get one for several months down the line, if we are going to get one, or we're just going to lead to more questions.
I was unaware too.
But speculate with me. What do you think will happen with Shiro? He doesn't have the Black Lion anymore. There are no lions for him to go to be a paladin of Voltron. Is he going to be the new man in the chair who kind of directs them from the castle? Or, he can still fight because he's still got his Winter Soldier arm going for him.
I'm thinking that your theory about him being the new mission control is what's going to be his new role, because you kind of saw it in the one episode where he and Keith were kind of bumping into each other as far as leadership positions, where he was able to give more strategic advice based on what he was, because he could see the overall picture of the battlefield, whereas Keith was giving more orders based on tactical decisions, based on what was just immediately in front of him. So I think that Shiro is going to wind up being the new man, and like you said, the man in the chair, the mission control. Now, what that means about piloting the castle, that I couldn't tell you. And then, of course, there's also what the hell's going on in his head that the Galra just let him go. Which I'm thinking possibly to leap off your thing with his Winter Soldier arm, maybe he's become a new sleeper agent.
That's where I'm going with, is that because he disappeared, didn't get ejected, anything. He disappeared. and then just happened to be on a Gulliver ship and escapes. And there's little hints about some sort of project that they're playing with. I don't know if Shiro's fully human anymore, to be honest with you. So they might have manipulated him enough that he could not only be the man in the chair, he might be able even to control the castle. Maybe they integrated some Alteran like DNA into him to allow him to do that. So they can try to like take the castle from the inside, and he has to now fight his way back.
And that's a possibility because remember, the witch is an Altean.
An Altean alchemist / scientist.
Which leads into probably the biggest.
Wait. There was like one more thing about Shiro.
What's that?
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead.
So how does his hair get so long?
How does his hair get so fabulous? No, my roommate has a theory that that Shiro that we saw is actually a clone. And that the real Shiro is still somewhere else, and this is a fake Shiro who has Shiro memories implanted into him, and that he is a sleeper agent of some kind. And somewhere out there on a Galra ship is real Shiro. Poor guy.
Is she with Pidge's brother?
Probably, which is one of the. I'm so pissed off. We still haven't gotten answers about the Holtz yet.
Yeah, that's another thread that like we're going to touch on this for one episode and never speak of it again.
I feel like if they had done a full season, we would have gotten that, but because it was about half a season, there just wasn't room for it. But
right,
I feel like every season I'm going to say, okay, if Pidge doesn't find her family, I'm quitting this fucking show. Then another season rolls by, and I'm still like, God, I'm such Voltron trash.
I have a theory that this season was actually not supposed to be this short, but you'll recall there was that whole big thing where
leaks.
The leaks happened, and the leakers on Tumblr basically held the show ransom for like a month or so. So I think maybe what happened is they said, okay, look, let's put out what we have so that this shit doesn't happen, and then we'll just put the rest out when it's finished down the line.
Actually, at their San Diego Comic-Con panel, the reason the show was split was actually a Netflix reason, not the showrunners. They did not want to do it, but Netflix said they wanted more Voltron in a year, so they split the season in half. My theory is Netflix looked at their programming block, and there was an empty space somewhere, and they just took one of their more popular shows, split it, so they would have some viewership to come in later down the line. Mine's a little less conspiratorial, but that's just me.
So now we can't let this episode the big elephant in the room of this season, and that was the last episode about the origin of Voltron and the start of darkness of Zarkon and the Galra Empire. Which, if you want to talk about it,
that was the clunkiest episode I felt like the whole season.
Really? I felt like if you're going to go out and see...
It was an info dump. The whole episode was an info dump.
I'm generally okay with this.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you want to go out... if you want... that's kind of a way to do it, is that episode, because I was fascinated by that story. And it raised certainly a whole bunch of new questions about just what exactly Zarkon had planned, and how in the loop was Lotor with all of this, because I very much don't know if Lotor is aware of the origins of Voltron or what Zarkon's ultimate plan is, or if, maybe Zarkon's not even himself. Maybe he's being manipulated by whatever darkness exists between the dimensions, because you'll recall at the end of that episode when the witch comes to, she says, oh, my husband, I remember now who I am and what you've done for me. So could it be that for the first couple seasons, Zarkon and the witch were, under control of some other entity?
The definitely the quintessence-filled glowy eyes is an indicator of the insanity levels of these particular characters. My question with Lotor was not just how much does he know, but is Hagar his mom? Because there's this huge timeline where the past that they flash back to was 10,000 years ago, and presumably the quintessence has kept Zarkon and Hagar alive all this time. And clearly Lotor is probably, I mean, he's Altean. Let's just put that on the board there. He's like Altean Galra mix. Zarkon's son, probably Hagar's son. But how could that be if he's not also rage-filled with quintessence, like cracked out on it? How could he have lived for 10,000 years? And he was in exile for a long time. Well, just how long? The timeline, I'm so confused. I need answers.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot simpler than you're thinking, but the fact that we don't have that answer is what drives me nuts.
Oh, well, we also don't know the age of the species either. Like, they could age differently. They could live longer than us measly humans.
It's true.
Yeah, for all we know, Lotor could have had dinner with Aristotle one day.
But I did go back and actually rewatch the whole first season and a good chunk of the second season. And when Allura comes out of the cryostasis and they realize Zarkon is still alive, she says, "That's impossible."
Right. Okay.
So I'm assuming they don't live for 10,000 years.
Right. Okay. All right. No, that's continuity. I get you. All right. I'm with you here.
I had to go back and rewatch some of the early stuff with Zarkon because I was really like all the character revelations where Zarkon wasn't a total D-bag his entire life was very intriguing to me. I love revelations like that. And I just thought the whole backstory with, Zarkon wasn't always the cleanest, squeakiest wheel. He wasn't always, 100% true good because, when they found this, all of the research they were doing, the first thing he thought of was, I can use that for weapons. And they're like, no, we can advance our races. He's like, oh yeah, we can do that. Can't we?
Yeah, there was and that too.
Yes, that's what I meant. Did I not say that? But it really felt like towards the end, like he didn't really care about what the research could be applied to. He just cared about supporting his waifu and doing whatever she wanted.
Spit out my water when you said waifu.
I never thought I would hear Kat say that.
You have no idea how often I say that.
But it's just it's weebs. When you think about it in context, like shit, that makes sense.
Because I don't think that they say if they're married, but it took them a long time to actually say husband and wife. So like when me and my roommate are watching the episode, are they married at this point? Is that his waifu or is that his girlfriend? What do we say?
I did like the fact that like she sort of like changed in that little background episode was when she showed up and the more she hung out with the Galra, she kind of became more Galra-esque.
Yeah, like she was obviously like being corrupted by the quintessence and stuff, and it was just making her look pretty haggard, if you will.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
But I'm pissed.
Sorry. Actually, not sorry. Yeah, where she was just looking like emaciated and scraggly and kind of scary. And then it's just like that cliffhanger where she comes out of it and is like, "Oh, my husband, I'll bring you back." And you're just like, what? Okay, I get who you are, but the way her voice changes and everything seems like she's coming back to her sanity. Like, what does that spell out for their? I mean, like, are they going to bring Zarkon back to some semblance of normalcy? Is he going to be like, oh shit, look at all this stuff that I've done that's terrible? Like, is he going to end up working with the Paladins of Voltron to stop Lotor? What is Lotor's plan? Oh my God.
It's not every day you wake up and find out that you've basically been Hitler for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that? I feel like my bad does not begin to cover it.
So yeah, there's a lot of good things. More you could talk about a show like this and dig deep into it. You have a good show on your hands.
Yeah. So we're running a little bit long. So on season 3 from you guys?
Too short, but I still like it. Stop making things short. I like long seasons.
Yeah. You're complaining to me about being short. Yeah. How long do I have to wait for Castlevania again?
Any indication of that history? 2 years.
We'll get like several more seasons of Voltron before we get more Castlevania.
Exactly. It's going to outrun.
BTW, if you didn't know, I believe what I read was that Voltron was signed for like 70 something episodes with Netflix.
We haven't
So
even,
this
we haven't hit
show's
the
gonna.
halfway mark.
I
Yeah.
know this show's gonna go on for a long time if things go well.
Okay. All right. So now comes the part of the show. Of course, we discussed this season. So we've got the next season coming up in October. So before we close out the show, let the rampant and baseless speculation commence. Kat, we shall begin with you.
Okay, baseless speculation. I don't know what Lotor is up to other than he's undermining his father at every turn, but he's got that one Galra who Keith had met when they were trying to, I guess, one of them got eaten by that giant thingy while they were trying to harvest Skulltrite or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
so basically, he had already met this Galra. They haven't spoken yet, but I think they've where Lotor
recognize
has
each other.
Yeah, and Lotor has reprimanded her, and I'm thinking maybe she's going to get kicked out of their little Galra group and end up, for whatever reason, I don't know, joining the, bad guy turned good, or just convenience, joining up with the Voltron Paladins and teaching Keith a little bit about being a Galra. I wish we could see like a Galra version of Keith, him being able to like werewolf transform into a Galra. I don't know if we'll ever go that far, but it would be really cool. Rampant speculation there. I believe, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I seem to remember from the original Voltron that Lotor was definitely in love with Allura, and maybe they were engaged by their fathers or something a long time ago. I'm not sure. I'd like to actually have Lotor meet Allura and fall in love with her. Don't know if that'll happen, but I'd like to see that part of it revived.
Yeah, I don't know if they were engaged, but Lotor definitely had a thing for Allura, and not in a kind of a creepy way, actually.
Yeah,
I love you. Here I shall
gonna
destroy your planet with a robeast. That's not love, Lotor.
Yeah.
Well, it was an 80s Americanized anime.
So I think I'd like to see something like that where he just is like, wow, I really like her. I want to kidnap her. And then it just never works out for him because she's too cool to be kidnapped like that. I'm trying to think of any other rampant speculation. Shiro is not all there. There's definitely something wrong with Shiro. And I'd really like them to go back to Earth sometime.
Yeah, that's what I would like to see happen in season 4. I'd like to, because it's been 2 years now since they left Earth. What's been going on? Like, how has this conflict not touched the Sol system? I would like to see this go back to Earth and find out how the Earth Defense Forces, whatever the fuck they were called, it's been so long I can't remember, how they responded, what kind of a hand they lend to the fight against the Galra Empire. Because we've seen all in this season them reaching out to all these alien races who've lived under Galra oppression for centuries and have no real military to speak of. Like, we really expect that Keith or Lance or none of the Voltron pilots come say, yeah, hey, we come from a planet that's got a standing military that is ready to fight if we just let them know what's up. Maybe if we give them a call, maybe they'll lend us a hand.
Well, first off, they're all going to be court-martialed, that's for sure. You've
Sure,
been gone for
experimented on. People be experimented on.
I don't know. You come back with 5 mini lions that train a giant robot lion. I think that kind of trumps being AWOL for a couple years.
Yeah,
I would definitely like to find out, because the blue lion was on Earth. Presumably the Blue Paladin piloted that lion to Earth. So I'd like to find out the fate of the Blue Paladin who had landed on Earth. I thought, rampant speculation here, maybe there was a connection between Lance and that Blue Paladin because Lance was chosen as the first Paladin by that lion.
Ooh, oh no, wait, no, my idea doesn't work, because see, my thought was the blue lion was on Earth, Keith is half Galra. What if the pilot of that took the Blue Paladin to Earth was a Galra? But then I realized, wait, the Blue Paladin wasn't the original Blue Paladin wasn't a Galra, so that doesn't work.
Well, doesn't mean that Galra like didn't try to chase down the Blue Lion.
There's a popular theory around that before this episode, that last episode aired with showing all the paladins, that that all of the paladins except for Zarkon were actually Altean, and that Lance was actually descended from an Altean. So there's like Altean Lance theories all around that just are true now because we know that wasn't an Altean in there. But maybe he could be descended of some other kind of alien. Or, but I feel like there's got to be a reason he was chosen.
I realize that fans are looking for a reason to explain Lance's weirdness, but can we just not accept that Lance may just be naturally strange? Can we not just accept that?
He can't be Space Sokka?
Well, that's the thing. Like, that just makes it even more insulting. It's like, we took Sokka at space value. Can we not just accept that Lance himself might be, just the same, just a natural goofball?
Yeah, it's not that. It's really that people want to draw him as an Altean. There's a lot of fan art out there. I spent hours looking at him. Yes, but why?
Yes, but why though?
Okay, we're running a bit long here. So, Brian, rampant speculation.
All right, I got one major theory. I want you guys to hold on to your seats real quick. It's a big one.
Okay, I'm gripping.
Here we go. Lotor's building vehicle Voltron. There, I said it.
Ooh.
Listen, every Voltron episode, I have to mention vehicle Voltron. It's in my contract.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. Now,
just
because I wrote it in with crayon, because I wrote it in with crayon doesn't mean it's not official.
It was. You wrote it in after it was notarized. That's not.
That's how contracts work, right? You can just add stuff.
You are going to go have words. You are going to have to go have words with the legal department after we're done here tonight.
Listen, I'm just making sure my quota is filled, and it is. Thank you very much.
All right, let's see. My rampant and baseless speculation. Shiro is a sleeper agent. It may not be vehicle Voltron, but I think that Lotor is building his own version of Voltron.
Made out of vehicles?
Yes, but ships and not cars.
Damn it.
Yeah. Made out of spaceships and not 1975 Toyota Corollas.
Don't forget the planes and like a boat.
Yeah.
You'll never make me not love that series just because it's so ridiculous.
And I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking at some point and Zarkon are going to turn on each other. I'm thinking we're going to see a split in the Galra Empire. And what happens there, I would be interested to see. So, but like I said, we've been running pretty long. That's about all the time we have for the Third Power this week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We will see you next week for what, Brian?
Things and
Defenders?
I wish you would tell me this beforehand.
Defenders.
Is it Defenders? Yes,
I'm
Defenders.
pretty sure.
Yes, Defenders. Defenders. No, it's not. It's not Defenders. It's Mortal Kombat techno music. I mean, Mortal Kombat. And its anniversary and effect on the video game industry. Defenders is after that.
I thought it was already. I was just looking forward to watching the Defenders this weekend, but I guess.
All right, so we'll see you next week for our discussion on Mortal Kombat and its history. So thank you as always for tuning in. We will see you next week. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
I'm Brian.
We will see you next week. Taka, play us out.